Hi everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bianca. Today we are going to make another costume, and this costume is inspired by a toy. And this toy I did have. This toy is Poo-Chi. It was like a little robot dog that had its little bone, and I remember its eyes would light up as like little heart eyes whenever you would give it its bone. It was a really cute toy, and seeing as how Copper Top Ink Costume Ball has the prompt of toy, I figured why not try making another one. For this costume, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the head. I'll figure out what I'm going to do for the actual outfit later, but we're going to try making a Poo-Chi head. And we're going to use cardboard because that's one of the easiest things I can come across, and that's what I'm going to use today. If this is content that you do enjoy, please make sure to give it a like and consider subscribing to see more videos like this one. I began by measuring out my cardboard piece and finding a good size for the base of this Poo-Chi head. Then I traced out a circle and cut that out so that my head can go through this piece. Alright, so I look a little crazy, just a little bit though. This is just one box, as you saw. It's a box like this. I took the longest piece and I just cut that up, probably like about 26 inches, honestly, like from corner to corner. And I think this is pretty good as a start. Something that I've really thought about is with these big ones, even with my Duloc head, I didn't show how I make it stay on our heads. So I'm gonna do that now. We're basically going to do this thing that I have on my head. If I didn't have my ponytail, it would fit down, but this is the structure that you usually make for the mushroom hat or for the jelly costume that I made. It's like a cap. So if you also have a baseball cap that you don't use, you can put that on your head. So what I'm thinking of doing, and I'm gonna do this before I start actually sculpting, or yeah, I guess this is sculpting, this is cardboard sculpting. I'm going to start putting some cardboard from this to here to stabilize it, and so that it doesn't flop around, because that's something that some of these really big costumes do. Like my Duloc head, that was really floppy until I put a baseball cap in it. I will link the short that I show how I fixed it afterwards. I'll put it in one of these corners here or here. I never know where it is, but it's gonna be up there or in the description below. I'm not sure if you can see from this far away, but let me get closer. The ridges of this cardboard are going this way. They're going down. That means that when I start folding, if I want to start folding this, it's easy to fold this way. And I don't know if y'all have seen a picture of the Poo-Chi toy. It has a few different angles here and there. So I'm gonna try to do that. This is a very awkward angle. So I'm gonna try to do that. But yeah, we'll see how far we get with this, because I really hope to make this in one day, but I don't know. We'll get back to working on this. Alright, so this is what we have so far. You can see that it is a lot stable. Like, I mean, I think you can see. I definitely feel like I'm gonna feel the weight of this costume. It's gonna be all on my head. It's not on my shoulders, but you can tell that it's like, yeah, whoa. You know, and like I said, it'll fit once my ponytail is down. But I think this is gonna be good in terms of like holding it together. I might have to move it a little bit back, maybe, I'm not sure yet. So let me just tell you what I've done. Let me see if I can put this here. Hopefully you can hear me still. So what I've done is I've curved these edges a little because we need to have that like a little bit of a lift here. Like I mentioned, Poo-Chi has a lot of different angles, so I'm trying to do the same thing with the cardboard. So let me get the other cardboard that I just rolled up so we can kind of see what it's gonna look like. This is, you can see the light there. So this is another piece of cardboard that I've already folded. This is the section that I had cut off from here. So this is the same box I'm using. What I did is I rolled this up and I curved some of this section here, and I want to put this here. So you can kind of see, hopefully, because I don't know how you can see it in the camera. Whoop! Hitting myself everywhere. This is gonna be, sorry for the sound. If this doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to do a voiceover. I'm going to paste this on here. I might cut some of this section from the back because I don't think I need that. I think what I need more is the front, and if I don't need this much from the back, then I'll just like cut that off and that'll be fine. But this is what we're gonna start working on, and I'll show you in a bit how I folded this. Alright, so I grabbed my piece of cardboard and I literally just start rolling this up all the way down, and that's how I get the curve that I want. For the edges, it looks to be about an inch in, and I just pinch the edges. I know, extremely scientific here. Once I get the shape I like, I glued it onto my base. Alright, so this is what it's looking like so far. I have this curved up like this, and this section as well. As you can see, I've labeled this the back and this the front. And the more I see it, I think I need to trim this section off, or at least try to lift it while I close it. So the head of Poo-Chi narrows out at the top, and I really don't need this extra bulk at the back. He's a little bit more front heavy, so I think I've already folded this up. We'll see if this is sufficient, and if not, then I'll cut that. Yeah, but I think we're off to a good start. I'm gonna grab this other piece of cardboard and see if we can make the top. I started cutting this piece off and measured it on top of my box just to see how this would lie, but I figured I need something to hold this up. So I grabbed this little section, like insulation tube, that I had used for my Paleta Payaso costume, or prop. My whole idea with using this thing was to glue this on top of my cap little doohickey here that I made. And this additional height and the insulation tube is going to be able to hold the top section of the piece. That way it doesn't like fall onto my head, or it doesn't sink, or I just didn't want it to fall to the bottom. So I glued that on the top, and eventually I hope to glue the top section of this insulation tube onto the top of the cardboard. It was a little bit longer than I needed, so I cut that piece off and just kind of measured it this way. And obviously, you know, you have to use your legs to hold everything up, so I think this worked for me. I did end up cutting the back section. It just wasn't working out for me, so I cut that piece off. After I cut that piece off, I looked at my top section again and remembered Poo-Chi has angles, so I didn't want it to look like a straight box, otherwise I would have used a box. But I scored my cardboard a little bit and folded the top section just a bit so that it'll have some of those Poo-Chi angles. Once I had that section figured out, I rolled another
piece of cardboard to start gluing the back piece to the side pieces.
All right, you can see that I have to take my lipstick off because I was getting a little wild with making my piece here. So this is what we have so far. This is the front side and then this is the back. The back is pretty much done. This here has to go down. And then once it's down, I'll connect these this way. It really seems like I should have just put a box, but you know, why would I make things easier for myself? This will go like this, and then I can attach some ears this way. This right here is, I was hoping I would be able to glue it to this piece so that it'll stick up and nothing like either goes down or goes up, but I'm having a really hard time with that. I'll figure out how to glue that later, but this is where we are so far. It looks just like a box. It looks just like a box. But an angled box, I don't know. I'm doubting myself, you see that? Yeah, it seems like every video I kind of like doubt myself with these things, but I mean, that's normal. So I think I'll just rest a bit before I go to work tomorrow, and we'll see if I can have a better idea on how to fix this. All right, I'll talk to you then. All right, so we're at the next day. I cut some of these sections off of the cardboard because just the way I was thinking about it yesterday, I didn't really like how it was looking so far. So I cut some of that out, and it's going to give it this shape here that you see. I'm going to glue these corners here and a little bit over here because I need to glue that together before I start on the actual front of the face. But I'm not gluing this section here. So let's just go ahead and start doing that. Now that I have those sections glued, I'm looking at the piece a little closer, and you can tell that this curve is a lot different from this curve. I don't know why that is, but I like this side better than this side. I'm gonna see if I can fix this a little bit more to be not as curved over here, whereas this one is a lot nicer. Anyway, I have to figure that out. But I have this other piece of cardboard, sorry for the mess down there, and it seems to be big enough to cover this entire front piece. It should be enough with even like cutting some seams up here and down there so it'll paste well. But first things first, I have to fix that. And if I can finish it during my lunch break, then yay. But if not, I still have time. We'll keep working on this.
I started working on the front piece by just tracing my entire box on this this other cardboard box. And I cut that piece out. It was kind of like a pattern piece. I did put a little bit more of some seam allowance in here so that I could hopefully, you know, make it work. I even drew the hearts so that you can kind of see that this is going to be the front section and the snout. I took this to the table and started gluing this onto the actual piece, and you can tell that I curved the edges of the front piece, and for some reason I didn't use it. Like, I just glued it flat. I really don't know what happened, but you're seeing it here.
Hi. All right, so there's a few things I need to show you if I haven't done it in the voiceover, but we're at one of the days for Poo-Chi, probably the third day, I'm not sure. But this one here, I tend to do this where I will have to flip the item around to see which side I like best. So this is the back and this is the front. So this is the front. The more I was looking at it, the more I am liking the back. And I like this more because I curved the box. I curved the box a little bit more, and I didn't do it on the front side for some reason. I don't know why I didn't do it, but I'm gonna be using the back side that I've been working on as the front going forward. So sometimes you just gotta flip things around to see what, to get a better perspective of what you're making, because you never know, you might like it if it's flipped. So I like this. I'm gonna keep this as the front side. The other thing is I have this other piece of cardboard, and I'm gonna put that here to be the snout. You can kind of see it. Can you see it? Let me know in the comments if you can kind of see what I'm doing. Another thing I have to say is that you can see a lot of this masking tape. I've said this in other videos that masking tape is really good to kind of cover up any holes so that it looks smoother without having to do, you know, like paper mache or anything. Like this just makes it a lot easier for me to keep this under control. I'll be working on making the snout. Yeah, we'll just keep going. I think it's gonna be okay.
To start making the snout, I grabbed my piece of cardboard and folded it into this little corner here you see. I ended up gluing those two pieces together to make it into another box. You guessed it. I love using binder clips to hold these pieces together as I keep working so that I don't have to hold them the entire time. So while that's drying, I started drawing the front of the snout and cutting that piece out similar to how Poo-Chi has his snout. I grabbed this other piece of cardboard and glued those to the sides because it can't remain open. So I realized I need to glue more of these pieces, so I just glued two sides. While the top part is drying, I start making the bottom section of the snout or the mouth, and I am doing pretty much the exact same thing as I did to the top section. I fold it into these corners and just make the bottom section smaller because it needs to fit inside of the big piece. So it's pretty much the exact same thing, just smaller.
All right, so I just finished gluing the bottom portion of the head, and let me just show you what it's looking like. It's crooked. Well, as you can see, I hope you saw, it is crooked, so I need to figure out how to, I'm gonna have to take that apart and then put it right back together. And for some reason, but I know the reason, the headpiece inside is not fitting as well as it did before, and the reason for that is because that was supposed to be the back of the piece. So I'm coming across a little bit of issues here, but that's okay, no worries, I'll figure it out. I'll just keep working on it. We always figure it out, right? We'll see how it goes. It's the motto of the channel. All right, well, let's keep working on this.
I didn't film this, but I wanted to show you what I ended up doing for the top section of the snout. The sides I cut at an angle. I didn't like how it looked very much like a box, so again, just cut these sides at an angle. I want to make the jaw movable, so I grabbed my old Transformers wings that I made this year, I believe, and if you remember, I used jean buttons that I recycled from old jeans that I had around the house. I grabbed those buttons from these wings and decided I'm going to be using those for this costume. I grabbed both bottom and top section of the jaw and started lining it up. I wanted to make sure that the bottom jaw, or the bottom section, I don't know, fit inside of the top section. Once I liked the setup, I cut like 2 little X's, one on the outside and one on the inside box. I do this on both sides. Please be careful when you use a box cutter though. Once I had that hole, I punched my jean button through both boxes, making sure that it is fully all the way through so that it allows for movement. I cut out a hole on the front section of my piece so that I would be able to see from, and I was trying to line up how I would glue or paste this snout. But before I did that, I thought I should probably paint all of this. So I went outside and began spray painting. I chose this silver color that I had from my disco ball that I had done a few years ago or last year, I don't remember. But I painted the entire thing front and back, and the top and bottom, and even the inside of the snout. Days went by and I decided I needed to focus on other things, so I began working on the outfit for this costume. To make the ears, I grabbed another box, cut that up, I painted it a teal color similar to Poo-Chi, and started cutting the shape of the ears. I know that I had said I had left an opening so that I can make the ears, you know, flap, or at least I thought I said that. But I ended up just gluing it onto the piece and it worked out fine. I reused that wing from the Transformers because it has this black fabric, and I just cut this section out to look very similar to Poo-Chi's eye shape. The last thing that Poo-Chi needs is his little nose. So I grabbed this other piece of cardboard and cut this up into the shape of the little nose and painted it black. Once that was done, we're ready for the reveal.
Alright, so there is the final costume. There are a few things that I need to do to it to make it a little bit better. It doesn't sit in my head, and I think it's because I had to flip it so that the back side is now the front side. So pretty much like it's not sitting right on my head. It's okay. The other thing is that this is quite heavy, so it leans forward. So that's another issue that I came across. There are quite a few issues on it, actually. One of my jean buttons didn't go all the way through on the jaw, so it was like constantly coming off, and I had to tie it with like some crochet string in hopes that it would get better. It kind of worked. Then I was able to push it through, and it's staying, so I guess that's okay. I think it looks really good. I just need to find the mechanics on how to make it sit on my head, but of course it's because it's so heavy to the front that it wants to automatically just like nosedive to the floor, and that's not really good for like your neck or anything. But for a costume like this, I figure it's a good arts and crafts make. So I think it looks okay. Another thing I really want to do is start working with like electronics. I think it would have been really cool to have this section be like, you know how when you would give Poo-Chi his bone, or if you don't know, if you gave Poo-Chi his bone, his eyes would turn into like little hearts. So I thought that would be really cool. So if somebody does that, you know, please tag me. I'd love to see your makes, as always. I really don't know when I'm going to post this video. This is probably the first time I'm actually recording in front of, like, speaking to the camera since Nebula passed away. And that wasn't really easy for me to process. It's still not easy. But I have to keep going. So this is it. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Oh, another thing is my outfit. Like I mentioned, I didn't want to do anything, so I haven't hemmed this or the bottom part, and it's actually being held on by like safety pins down there. So for a reveal, you're not gonna tell anybody, so that's fine. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a like and consider subscribing to see more videos like this one. I do have a Ko-fi account where you can provide a tip if you make this piece. Please make sure to share it with me on Instagram or on TikTok. I always love seeing your makes. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.